For days, the biggest question hanging over the United States men's national team was simple. Would Christian Pulisic be fit enough to play? The American star had taken a hard hit to his left calf during the team's opening match against Paraguay, forcing him off at halftime. All week, the entire country wondered whether their most important player would be ready for the pivotal second match of the World Cup against Australia in Seattle. In the end, it did not matter at all. The United States dominated from start to finish on Friday, defeating Australia 2-0 without their biggest star, officially clinching a spot in the knockout round of the 2026 World Cup. This was the team's second consecutive win of the tournament, marking the first time in American World Cup history that the men's national team has won its opening 2 matches. Let us walk through exactly how this victory unfolded, why a 21-year-old defender became the unlikely hero of the night, and what this performance tells us about a USA squad that suddenly looks far more dangerous than anyone expected heading into this tournament. The build-up to this match had been dominated entirely by uncertainty surrounding Pulisic. He suffered the calf injury during the opening win over Paraguay after helping create that match's opening goal, splitting 2 defenders before setting up a teammate for the finish. He left at halftime that day, and his availability for the Australia match remained genuinely in question right up until kickoff. Head coach Mauricio Pochettino made the call. Pulisic would not play. Ricardo Pepi would start in his place instead. For a team and a fan base that has built so much of its attacking identity around Pulisic's individual brilliance over the past several years, this was a significant moment of truth. Could this USA squad actually function, and function well, without its most recognizable and dangerous attacking weapon? The answer arrived emphatically within the first half. The breakthrough goal actually came in an unusual way. The Americans were credited with their opening goal on what is being described as an Australian own goal, a moment born out of relentless USA pressure that eventually forced a defensive error from the Socceroos. It was not the prettiest goal, but it put the United States ahead and set the tone for everything that followed. Then, just before halftime, came the moment that will be remembered as the signature highlight of this match. Alex Freeman, a 21-year-old defender who has emerged as one of the breakout stories of this tournament, rose to meet a cross and headed the ball home to double the American lead. The US went into halftime up 2-0, having dominated possession and territory against an Australian side that simply could not find an answer. The emotional weight of that goal for Freeman cannot be overstated. Speaking after the match, he described the moment as deeply personal, saying it was so emotional for him and that he had always dreamed of scoring a goal at the World Cup. For a young player who has rapidly established himself in the senior national team setup, scoring on this stage in a match this important represents exactly the kind of moment that can define an entire career. Freeman also used his post-game interview to highlight something often overlooked in moments of individual celebration. He specifically credited teammate Ricardo Pepi for stepping into the lineup in Pulisic's absence and performing the role asked of him, giving Pepi what Freeman called his flowers. It was a small but telling gesture, the kind of team-first mentality that often defines squads capable of deep tournament runs. The second half brought a different kind of test for the Americans. With the result largely secured, the match grew increasingly physical and chippy as Australia searched desperately for any way back into the game. The officials issued 7 total yellow cards across both teams by the final whistle, including 3 shown to United States players alone. Defenders Anthony Robinson and Chris Richards, along with forward Folarin Balogun, all picking up cautions as the Socceroos pushed hard in search of a response that never arrived. Despite the increasingly tense nature of the closing stages, the USA defense held firm, securing the clean sheet and sealing the 2-0 victory. Head coach Pochettino was direct in his assessment of how his team managed to grind out the result. He told reporters afterward that the victory was built on attitude, emphasizing the mentality his squad showed throughout. The 90 minutes, regardless of who was or was not available to play, that sentiment captures something important about this USA team heading deeper into this tournament. There is a growing belief, both inside the locker room and among American soccer fans, that this squad possesses genuine depth, not just star power concentrated in 1 or 2 individuals. The performance against Australia, delivered without arguably their most talented attacking player, serves as concrete proof of that depth in action. Defender Chris Richards spoke to this exact point following the match, pushing back against any notion that talk of the United States competing for the World Cup itself is unrealistic. His comments reflect a growing internal confidence within this squad that has been building since long before this tournament even began. Let us put this result into its proper tournament context, because the timing and stakes of this match cannot be overstated. Heading into Friday, the United States had already opened their World Cup campaign with an emphatic 4-1 victory over Paraguay, a performance that immediately vaulted the Americans into the top 10 of various World Cup power rankings after just a single match. Following up that opening statement with another decisive win, this time against a continental rival in Australia, sends an unmistakable message to the rest of this tournament field. With this victory, the United States has now officially secured passage to the knockout round, regardless of how their final group stage match plays out. Their remaining group match comes against Turkey, scheduled for Thursday at SoFi Stadium just outside Los Angeles. Adding another layer of significance to Friday's result, Turkey's defeat to Paraguay on the very same day meant that the United States also clinched outright top spot in Group D, securing the most favorable possible position heading into the knockout stage bracket. For Pulisic personally, this period represents a frustrating but familiar challenge. This is not the first time a leg injury has complicated his World Cup participation. Back in the 2022 tournament in Qatar, Pulisic suffered a different injury, a pelvic contusion, after scoring the decisive goal against Iran that sent the United States through to the knockout stage that year. He fought through that issue to play in the round of 16 match against the Netherlands that followed. Whether he can produce a similar recovery story this time around, in time for a potential knockout stage opponent, remains one of the most important storylines for American soccer fans heading into the coming weeks. What makes this injury situation particularly complex is that it represents Pulisic's second notable leg issue across recent international windows, having also dealt with an ankle problem and what was described as a possible hamstring concern during earlier national team commitments earlier in the year. For a player who has become so central to the American attacking setup, managing his fitness through an extended tournament schedule will likely remain a significant storyline regardless of how deep this USA run ultimately goes. There is also a broader cultural moment unfolding around this USA campaign that extends beyond just the results on the field. As Pochettino spoke with Fox Sports following the final whistle, fans inside Seattle's stadium could be heard chanting his name directly, a remarkable show of support for a manager who inherited a program facing real questions about its direction and has now guided it to consecutive World Cup victories on home soil for the very first time in the nation's history. This connects to a larger narrative building around this entire World Cup. As co-hosts alongside Canada and Mexico, the United States is experiencing an unprecedented level of attention and home support throughout this tournament. Record-breaking betting activity at American sportsbooks during the opening week of the tournament reflects just how significant the appetite for this USA campaign has become among domestic fans. Every match carries weight not just for tournament progression, but for the broader project of growing the sport's footprint across the country hosting it. Looking ahead, the matchup against Turkey on Thursday now carries somewhat reduced pressure, given that the Americans have already secured both their knockout spot and the top position in their group. This presents an interesting strategic opportunity for Pochettino, who may choose to manage Pulisic's recovery carefully ahead of the knockout rounds rather than risk further aggravating the injury in a match where the primary stakes have already been settled. The knockout round draw itself looms as the next major point of intrigue for this USA squad. Having won Group D outright, the Americans will face a third-place finisher from another group in the round of 32, with the broader knockout bracket structure determining just how difficult or favorable that path toward a potential deep tournament run might become. What we witnessed on Friday in Seattle was a USA squad answering one of the most important questions any team can face during a major tournament. When your most talented and recognizable individual player is unavailable, does the team still function? Does the system still work? Does belief still exist throughout the roster? The answer, delivered through a stoppage-filled, physically demanding 90 minutes against a determined Australian side, was an emphatic yes. Alex Freeman's emotional-headed goal, Ricardo Pepi's selfless performance in Pulisic's absence, and a defense that held firm through a chippy closing stretch combined to deliver exactly the kind of statement victory that builds genuine belief heading into the most important stretch of any World Cup campaign, the knockout rounds. For American soccer, riding the momentum of hosting this historic tournament on home soil. Friday's win represents far more than 3 points in a group stage match. It represents proof, delivered under real pressure and real circumstance, that this team possesses the depth and the mentality to compete deep into this World Cup, with or without its biggest name on the field. Subscribe right now. I will be covering the USA's final group match against Turkey and tracking Pulisic's recovery as the knockout stage approaches. Comment below. Do you think the USA can make a genuine deep run in this tournament, even if Pulisic's injury lingers? Drop your prediction below. See you in the next one.